picture. Ready to go. Hey everyone, so cool to see so many of you guys out here today. Whoop! And you know, I got something real special in store for all of you. So here today we are looking at using NFTs and radical economics to save animals. So that's exciting, right? How on earth would you do that? How can we save animals with NFTs and radical economics? And that's what we're going to get in today. And hopefully there'll be some super interesting questions you guys have so we can better figure out what is going on here. So to start off with, this project was created by myself and a bunch of friends. It's called Wildcards, and we have these always for sale digital conservation tokens. But now let's just take some time to unpack what all of that means. But even before that, let's take a look at some of the problems that we are facing in society today, right? Global animal populations have declined massively over the last 30 years. And this is a trend, you know, that seems to be pretty apparent and entrenched at the moment, and something we really want to obviously combat, correct? But often we find ourselves asking things like, where should we donate? How is it best to donate? You know, perhaps it's quite difficult across different borders to reach organizations that are looking after animals in some remote district or place. Some more issues are donations are so often once off, right? How often would you guys do something, but then you don't think, oh, every week I'm going to go back and keep helping this organization do something. It's very much a once-off thing, unfortunately, a lot of the time. And finally, it can often be pretty unrewarding and detached, right? Who here has maybe just filled in their credit card details, clicked whoop, and seen those $50 you worked so hard for come off your credit card, and then that's sort of where it ends, right? It's not like, yay, I feel so good for just seeing that bank notification, and that's where it ends. So how can we make this process a bit more rewarding? Okay, so solution, how do we try solve this and do something really cool and novel with NFTs and radical economics? Well, I'm going to tell you how we started doing that, and we're going to go from there. Let's go through the journey. So initially, this is what our website looked like, I guess, about 8 months ago when we started a long, long time ago. And we started by simply having one NFT on our website. It's that gorilla in the middle over there. We called it Vitalik. And that NFT was always for sale. And through this always for sale mechanic, immediately we started generating money for the conservations we were supporting. But what does this always for sale mean, and how is it generating money? So let's get into that now. Always for sale is sort of this nice, interesting intersection between somewhat of maybe a subscription model, maybe a little bit of an auction mechanism, but it's sort of something in between. And essentially what it means, if we go back over here, it means I can come along and I can buy this asset, let's say it's Vitalik now, at any point in time for its listed sale price. So right now its listed sale price is 20 ETH, and it's still actually at 20 ETH. And if I pay 20 ETH, I will own this digital asset, but in order for it to remain always for sale, I obviously now have to immediately set a new selling price as I purchase this asset, so anyone else could come and buy this asset from me immediately or whenever they want at this selling price I have set. But what stops you from setting an exclusionary selling price of $5 billion? I don't want anyone to buy this from me. I'll set it really, really high. Well, there's this thing called harbinger tax, which is where sort of the radical economics comes in. And it basically means you have to pay a percentage of whatever selling price you set in order to keep your ownership of this asset. So by you choosing your selling price you set, you're actually also choosing how much you're going to have to pay every so often in order to keep custody of this asset. So that's always for sale, and that's really one of the interesting concepts that we picked up from a book released in 2018, Radical Economics, and they talk a lot about harbinger tax and how it can be super useful in a lot of cases. And we actually presented at ETH in Zurich a couple months back at the Radical Economics meetup where we talked a lot about it. So it's cool to show our real-world implementation of how it's actually working. So now if I had to tell you a bit more about our platform, maybe give it to you in a nice digestible sentence. So the Wildcards platform has these always for sale non-fungible tokens, right, representing endangered animals, right? So if you haven't guessed it already, when you buy one of these assets, the percentage of the selling price you continuously pay to hold this non-fungible token, this is flowing directly towards the conservation organization that is supporting this animal in real life. So your NFTs are doing some good. So how do we take our website or our project, I guess, from here, where all you can do right now is, you know, buy the NFT and contribute, but maybe there's not so many incentives for people to come in and buy Vitalik for 20 ETH. How do we make this a more engaged community, and how do we get people to participate? How do we make things interesting? So there's a number of different ways to do that, to kickstart the social impact economy, and we've started trying to do them. And a couple of the cool ones are gamification and social aspects. So as you can see today, we have many more different animals that are around over here, and I'll just switch live to our website over here. But what you can see is there's a number of cool different things like streaks, so you know who's holding the animals for a certain amount of time. There's leaderboards, there's social aspects. So let me walk you through a couple of these cool aspects that we're using along with the Radical Economics to actually kickstart people and get them involved in this economy. So one of the first things, if I go back now over here, is leaderboards. So our leaderboards are actually really cool, and this allows the whole gamification aspect to really shine through. People can now rank and see who's giving the most per month, who's given the most ever, amongst another bunch of really cool metrics. And the reason these leaderboards are cool as well is because they are linked to people's identities, right? So you can start building your patronage profile, which is quite simple and interesting. So I'll show you over here. If you scroll down and you have a look at our leaderboards over here, you can maybe go into this user, Marvin, and right now the leaderboard still, or the profile is still quite sparse, but you can see we've integrated with 3box and we're pulling his information from there. We've got stats on his monthly contribution, which tokens he currently owns, and which tokens he's previously owned. So that is something that we're working on so far, and you'll see here's Marvin's profile already as we see. And as we see it going forward, there'll be a lot more aspects that will add to the social profile. We really want to put in badges that can be very interesting. You know, who held this animal first? You know, who was the first person to ever hold it? Who's held an animal for more than 100 days? There's a really cool array of metrics, and we really hope that this will help people to actually join our community and get involved in something that's fun and that's for a great cause. Another really cool thing which we've been building, which is a lot of fun, is a Twitter bot. And since a lot of our users have linked their profile to 3box and verified their Twitter identity, that means our servers are able to look and see which animals this person owns and tweet notifications at them and say, hey, at whoever owns this animal, your deposit for your wild card is expiring soon, or hey, at whatever, someone just bought your wild card, don't you want to buy it back? And we really think this bot can be used to, you know, display all of the activity in our platform and create quite a lot of engagement, which is cool. It's really also been a lot of fun building all of these aspects in Web3, you know, plugging them together, pushing, seeing what's actually happening and what's possible. Some other cool things we do is, yeah, basically some summaries on the daily activity. And what we want to also incorporate is personalized shout-outs. You can use our Twitter bot to, you know, maybe send a memoir to one of your friends if you buy them a token or something like that. And we'll talk about how that can be done. So another interesting aspect, which would be great to hear your ideas, we're almost due to deploy this upgrade to our smart contracts, and this is rewarding users with ERC20 tokens. So right now, you're holding an NFT, and if you hold our NFT, our wildcard, continuously over time, we'll mint a token, or we'll mint ERC20 tokens, our tokens, and we'll send them to you. And these tokens, we are still deciding some of the cool best use cases, but some can be used to maybe, you know, burn them to send a message through our Twitter bots. They could be used to purchase cool little items you can use to spruce up your wildcards profile. They could also be used for governance, perhaps, you know. Maybe there's one animal, and at the end of every month, these tokens are used to help coordinate where these funds should go to, which exact organization. So again, that's another way of expanding the community and building on this radical economics to bring more and more value to all of our users who hold the tokens. So a quick journey where we are at so far. We've been live on the mainnet for, I guess, now about 8 months, which is great. So far, everything has been smooth sailing. There's been no biggish problems, and we've partnered with Ubisoft. We've been here at Station F in Paris for the last 6 months, part of their incubator, which has been really great. We've also been with CVVC and their incubator in Zug in Switzerland. We've partnered with and we're supporting 2 conservations currently live as it stands, Wild Tomorrow Fund and Sender Verda, and we're continuing to expand that network as well. So if you know anyone as well who'd like to be part of this early project also, please get in contact with us. We'll be here all weekend as well, and you can just drop us a comment or see us on our website. This talks a bit about our traction, and you know, we actually started this project at the ETH Cape Town Hackathon, and I can't say enough how great these hackathons in the community are. They really help kickstart so many cool friendships, ideas, projects, and it's been such a privilege to be involved in a number of them. Also ETH India, you know, ETH London, ETH Berlin, and we've participated in a lot of them and refined a lot of these ideas. So we've talked a bit about radical economics and the fact that now through smart contracts we can program this logic where you can have a digital asset that's always on sale, and it can, you know, instantly change ownership if someone buys it, and it can manage that the person is paying what's required to hold it. And what other aspects could this apply to? So this is quite interesting. So we've done now one, animal conservation to raise money for endangered animals. Some other interesting ones are climate change, which I'll get to on the next slide. Digital artworks. Has anyone heard of crypto voxels and some very cool, yeah, there we go, the crowd's going wild. Digital advertising, another very interesting one. I can see Griff over there, and he supported one of our digital advertising radical ideas early. And then finally, obviously, digital land. So let's talk about a few more of these, which are really interesting. So some of you built at the Diffusion Hackathon in Berlin. Carbon Credits Club was, again, quite an interesting project, and I won't spend too long on it, but we had NFTs representing plots of land where spekboom, it's a type of plant, was planted. And this plant is really good at basically capturing CO2. And these NFTs would mint or generate ERC20 tokens, carbon credits, at the rate at which in real life they were capturing the carbon. And then you had a secondary market for our carbon credits, which you could burn and verifiably offset your carbon emissions. So that was another fun idea. Yeah, go for it. The website's still active. Unfortunately, we've been spending, there's only 3 of us, which I'll get to now. So we've been full on wildcards, and we don't have so much dev time to build so many things at once. But it's something we really, if we had more time, would still be active on, yeah. great. Yeah, let's chat afterwards. Basically, there was just a question saying, this is a cool project, so you should look at it. Virtual art gallery. So this is where some of our NFTs feature in crypto voxels, which is really cool. And this is a whole nother can of worms, but we're also using a whole lot of radical economics inside the crypto voxels world. And this is to be talked about more soon in the future. So keep your ears peeled for some more really cool announcements of some things we can do in the virtual world with virtual land and art galleries. This is our team back in East Cape Town when Vitalik tried to join. We didn't have much space in the team, so we had to, unfortunately, you know. But yeah, this was really a great time, and this was where the journey all started. We were all wearing these red hats as well for no particular reason. It was just a lot of fun, so we thought that was a great thing. This is our team, so you can see it's myself, Jason, and Denham, us three co-founders, and we've really just been working full-time on this together. We met studying computer science in university, and we've really enjoyed the journey of building this all out. It's really been so much fun, and yeah, we can't wait to keep working and building this out and keep saving all the animals that are around. And that's us swinging in. So right now, I think what you should do is take out your iPhones or your favorite cellular device, and this QR code's pretty big, so you can scan it. And then definitely join our mailing list, which will be great. We can keep you up to date with everything we're doing. And right now, you should definitely go onto our website, wildcards.world, and you can play around. It's live. You can see we're generating money pretty much continuously because people are continuously paying to hold all of our wildcards. And you can go into an asset puncher. You can see the story behind this asset. You can buy it. Obviously, you can buy all of them at any point in time, which is pretty cool. You can look at the details. You know, how much is this person paying every month effectively to own this asset? How much deposits available? Who's currently owning it? You know, how long has it been held? And we can keep going, and we can look at some more details, you know, of the person who owns it. If they haven't verified with 3box, you won't perhaps see what their details are yet, but if they do, their history will always be there, which is pretty cool. And yeah, go play around. Please do. It would be great if you supported us. You can go into expert mode if you're more crypto-orientated. We have a bit more crypto words over there for you to understand. And yeah, it's been a pleasure speaking to you guys. Thank you so much. Wildcards.world. And if you have any questions on just the process, how we built it, has everything been fun, then please, yeah, go ahead. There's some questions there.
Hi, man. Thank you very much for sharing about your project. I think you guys are crazy, and I think the goal of your website is pretty great, so my compliments. Maybe it was just me or that I didn't get it, but like, how do you actually help the animals? Like, maybe you said that and I missed it, I don't know. Like, are you in partnership with some no-profit organizations? Like, how do users make sure that you actually use the money for helping the endangered animals? Just this. Thank you.
That's a great question. So, yeah, we've partnered with a couple of conservation partners. You can see at the bottom here. And the harbinger tax, so that continuous money raised by people holding our assets, that flows directly to these conservation organizations who help those animals. So, unfortunately, at this point, we're not out in the trenches actually, you know, feeding the animals or anything ourselves. We're more a platform that's helping these organizations raise additional funding for their conservation efforts. And, you know, a lot of these conservations, they're really awesome at what they do, but they aren't web developers, and maybe they don't have the best online presence, or they aren't able to raise funds best for their platform. So Wildcards is really something that's hopefully engaging and allows them to get out there and raise more funds for what they're doing.
Okay.
So this is more of a technical question, but do you have any advice for people that want to implement harbinger tax for their own project? Maybe a separate example besides this, that lessons you've learned while implementing it, anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I think where it all started for us, where's probably the best place to get started is there's a project called This Artwork is Always on Sale by Simon, and you'll find the repo very open on GitHub, and it's an awesome project where there's a piece of artwork and it's just a single digital asset, and the smart contracts in that are pretty clear, and it basically shows if you fork the project, you can get going pretty much immediately, and that's actually what we use predominantly for our hackathon. So as a first step, I would say that's a great start for trying to understand how it actually works and build your own project technically. And from there, if you want to learn how to try do it on a bigger scale, we'd be more than happy to discuss it with everyone, because there's a lot of security risks you basically don't want to expose yourself to.
Yeah, and beyond security, like also game theoretical attacks, are there any lessons that you learned along that dimension?
Maybe you just want to pass the mic to Jason, just to the left of you over there. He's one of the co-founders. He's got some good knowledge on this.
Yeah, I would say the mechanism doesn't work for everything. So you have to really be careful. Are you solving the problem that needs to be solved? An example from this weekend was I was at the East London Hackathon. And I was really excited because another team did a Harburger tax project. And I thought the use case was great, only once they explained it. So, for example, the ENS team initially were discussing using Harburger tax for ENS names, and they decided against it for some quite crucial reasons. Basically, imagine you've got a business that's yours, and it's registered as an ENS name, and someone else could buy that from you and destroy your business. Or you had a search engine that was trying to compete with Google, you were DuckDuckGo, and Google would just keep buying your domain. So that, I mean, those are use cases that don't work. But for example, let's say you've got a thriving business. The example they gave me was Satoshi's Dice. So it's a gambling thing, and it's all digital online, and basically the website is what makes the money. So there, let's say I've built it up, and I want to now retire, but keep profiting from the good work I did. I could make that into a Harburger tax token and put that on the open market. The market decides the price. I earn the Harburger tax, but the person who owns the token earns the revenue, and the market will balance things out. So it's more about use cases, and some don't work and some do work.
So I see you've made 2 cents in the last 20 minutes. Good going. So mine's more just a question of ownership, right? So I understand full well that if you're not on the ground and you're offering a platform, that's fine. It's good to see other people from South Africa as well, by the way, except you're from the wrong city.
Thank you.
I went to Josie. My question is that of presumably these are trickling in, the taxes coming in. But my question is on who has the rights to withdraw any deposited money. So, I would find it a bit weird if you guys, for example, being the owners of the platform, would be able to pull out the ether that's designated as this tax. So is it Senda Verde?
Sendaverde, yeah.
Yeah. Do they have someone on the ground then that's just the owner of an address that's got exclusive permissions to pull the ether?
Yeah, so if you go onto our Twitter, you'll see all the verified transactions of all the funds flowing from the contract address, the ether we've raised, to those specific organizations like Sendaverde, and then Sendaverde on their Twitters publicly also posted their public address, right. So you can verify that it's theirs.
So is that an automatic transaction every time it hits a threshold, or do they have to explicitly ask for a withdrawal?
At the moment, it's manual. It's not automatic, but that's something. Yeah, it's definitely exactly what we want it to be like. So yeah, that's great for spotting that. That's something.
Another cent. All right, shot. Thanks.
Thank you.
I have one small question. Do you accept DAI or any stablecoin if I send it to
No, also another good point. So at the moment it's just ETH, but another thing on our timeline is people obviously have a deposit in ETH that continuously pays for the ownership of the asset. Why not, have that DAI and then they can earn interest to further support their assets? So that's a great point. Again, it's just dev time, getting enough time to build out everything.
Actually, it was the last question. I'm sorry.
I'll chat to you afterwards. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's have a great evening. Oh, you good?
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
So, you'll be here for the week, right?
Yeah, I'll be here for the week.
Nice, great. I'm gonna talk to you.
Yeah, please do, man.
I'm in Geneva, and it's now the capital of blockchain.
Oh, awesome.
And so, if you need some lobbying or something, I can wait for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, we just started to, set our roots down in Switzerland. We've almost incorporated our company.
Oh,
there.
great.
Yeah, in Zug, actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we were there for 3 months, so it's been